Hello everyone, nice to see you all again. Welcome back to my channel for talking about 2008, the year-end charts on Billboard. The top 20 songs I have in front of me right now on screen, and I do have my 7 tiers that I try to place them out in as well, based on my subjective preference. I've realized as I've done all of these videos that I'm obviously not as fond of certain genres. And that will just always be the case, that I'm probably more generous or more lenient towards songs that I just enjoy more the style of. But I figured like this series should absolutely just be completely about honesty, and I can just share what I think of the songs, and you can share what you think of the songs, and we can see which ones are the ones that like everyone can agree on. Probably none, but but I do enjoy sharing my thoughts on music in general, and this has been a really fun series so far for me to do. So today I'm continuing with 2008, and 2008, I gotta say, maybe not really the best year in my book so far that I've talked about, but you can see it. You can look at the cover art here. Few good ones for sure. And I think I'll just start off with one that I actually kind of surprised myself that like, yeah, this I do quite enjoy. I've come to realize that maybe I'm a fan of Neo here, because I talked about him in a previous video about the song So Sick, which I knew I was a really big fan of. I haven't heard this song Closer for a very long time, but I do recognize it. I did recognize it like when I re-listened to it. And it's nice. It's really cool. Like I think his sweet vocal delivery absolutely still has a prominent feature in this track. The backing track of the song is very mellow, which I do like. There's this combination of a very digital beat, but also an acoustic guitar kind of carrying the core backdrop of the track. Feels like a very purposeful delivery and everything. The beat is definitely purposeful. There's a lot of distinct percussion in it. The synth work is effective during the choruses, and the song just flows very, very, very nicely, I would say. I think that maybe this song is a bit too digital for my liking in terms of its execution, which holds back my enjoyment somewhat, but it's still, a very nice, relaxing, kind of groovy tune, really, with a nice vocal performance, I think, even though that it is basically processed quite a bit. But it just comes together quite nicely, and I do think that this would belong in the beat here if I were to decide just like that. It's a decent effort, really. It's not as good as I found So Sick to be, of course, but still decent enough. Absolutely, a B tier song for me. Chris Brown's song with T-Pain called Kiss Kiss, however, well, let's get the positives out of the way first, I guess. There are a few like playful rhythmic details and elements in the song that I do think are quite fun. And that's about it, really. The vocal processing on this tune is so excessive that it really hurts. I get so little enjoyment out of that. This hook is obnoxiously repetitive. The energy of the track seems to kind of just rely on it being as chaotic as possible. And there's this kind of rap verse coming towards the maybe the middle of the track, or maybe even the end of the track, where there are it's just stacked with so many random sound. Like the sound effects are just thrown in all over the place. There are so many that it's impossible to count, really. And overall, it's a very annoying tune. This is an F. I'm sorry, Chris and T, but this one passes me by. I get no enjoyment out of it. Very tiresome listen, really, that I did not enjoy any of the times I set out to listen to it. So a shame. Maybe there will be something better from both of you later on in the video, because I'm sure you both. Will T-Pain return in this video? Maybe not. But Chris Brown definitely will. You can see his face on a few of these cover arts here. Next up, Natasha Bedingfield, who I'm very fond of, really, like in general. I think I've talked about Unwritten before, and this is Pocketful of Sunshine. Can't speak, but this is a nice tune, really. There's a very expressive and dynamic vocal performance in this track, I think, that is a lot of fun. Maybe this song, like perhaps it gets a bit too shouty towards the end. I think that it could be a bit overbearing in that regard, but the hook on its own is very, very catchy. I think that Really, everything comes together very nicely with the flow of the track as well. And perhaps the verses could be a bit underwhelming in comparison, but still, I just think this kind of great pulse in the backing track, and those choruses really are that engaging that I find myself really enjoying the song as a whole. I think it's a very strong pop tune. Maybe not, maybe it doesn't leave as much of an impression on me as a listener as an Unwritten did, but I do still really enjoy listening to this one, and I'm definitely hooked by it. And I think it's a strong B effort, stronger than Neo's Closer. Actually, I think that they just do a lot of things right with this one, and I do get engaged by it. As I said, perhaps it's a bit excessive towards the end with the vocal arrangement, really, but a fun song. Really, get some enjoyment out of that one. Something I get less enjoyment out of is, of course, Don't Stop the Music by Rihanna. And Rihanna has been all over the place in my tier lists. And she's gonna appear several times today as well. I mean, she was, of course, huge back in the day. I mean, she's still obviously very, very famous and successful. But 2008 is one of her strongest years for sure when it comes to charting. Don't Stop the Music, however, I don't, I don't really know what to say. This song clearly thinks that repetition is key in making something catchy, and I guess I understand, but at the same time, I just don't approve, I suppose. This is a song with mind-numbingly annoying choruses on constant repeat that just don't stop. It's melodically very monotonous. It's overly processed in terms of its delivery, both vocally and instrumentally, I feel. Just a chaotic instrumental altogether with some like the mixing is just all out focus on being forceful and clubby and a bit trashy in that regard, and it's just not that intriguing or enjoyable for me personally to listen to. I think there's a very like set of this. I don't know. There is this constant pulse throughout the track that I understand it works in the club, but it's an awful listening experience outside of it in my book. I get very annoyed listening to this song. I just think that it's ceaseless, repetitive, and very forceful in trying to just get you to pay attention to its beat, while also providing absolutely no variation throughout the track. It's an E because I get that it's supposed to just be a club song, but I have many other songs that I'd rather hear if I want to dance and have a good time with these kind of songs. And one of those, I guess, is coming straight up after it, because Disturbia by Rihanna is also is right above it on the charts for this year. And this song has a much more infectious beat, I feel. It's also way more catchy melodically. I think the intonation is actually a bit, it's way stronger in this one, and quite sing-along friendly, really, without it being overly simplistic. There's a nice, like, just intonation within this chorus, and I think Rihanna sells it quite nicely. However, again, are the vocal effects very excessive in this song? Absolutely. It does fit the track to an extent, but it's still a little bit off-putting for me. I don't really understand. It really seemed like it was a thing back in 2008 or so. You just needed to drown your vocals in a bunch of processing to make it sound, you know, robotic or whatnot, because it should fit the club or whatever. I don't know. But it's a bit off-putting for me, and I don't think it's aged very well, this whole concept of laying out your vocal arrangement. And this song is also a bit repetitive in its progression, I'd have to say, so it holds back my enjoyment. I still think it's a decent little song that is upbeat and way more engaging, of course, than Don't Stop the Music. I'm placing this in the C category. I don't think it's a proper standout in Rihanna's discography, but it's fine. It's fine, I would say. Next up, we got T.I. with Whatever You Like, and oh my, this song has just a collection of things that don't work for me. There are some properly irritating synthesizers carrying this track. The drums sound entirely out of place and don't drive the song forward whatsoever. It seems like all of the energy that this song tries to kind of contribute is really done through loud sound inputs coming all over the place and a lot of just focus on the vocals. And this vocal is obviously not a very convincing one. T.I. Stands for one of the least convincing vocal performances of this year, I would say. And this vocal layering that he's utilizing is very distracting. It's a bit it's a bit off-putting, really. The production really makes this song kind of sound, because the mixing is so strange on this track. I mean, the drums kind of don't fit in, and the vocals are very loud on top, and they're just working with the synthesizers in a strange way. So the song is kind of produced like it's supposed to be a karaoke performance, which is arguably quite fitting because T.I. is singing this song like it's a karaoke performance as well. It's a very odd listen. It's not enjoyable in the slightest in my book. I think that even fans of T.I. would probably not really consider this to be among his strongest efforts, because he's obviously more known for his rapping than his singing. This is a strange listen. I'm not sure why it's a big hit, but it is. It's an F tier song though. I probably prefer it a bit over the Chris Brown track there, because or do I? No, it's so unenjoyable. I don't even know. It's an F though, absolutely. Next up, you know this song. I think everyone does. It's really, is this the first Katy Perry like proper hit? I Kissed a Girl. You know this song. I mean, this has to be the first real proper hit from her, I think, unless I've forgotten something. But this is understandably absolutely a hit. This kind of quirky handling of the topic of the track is fun. I will admit, I do think that the song consists of high energy. There's this kind of energetic bounce in the backing track and this kind of hectic staccato rhythm on the synth work is really nice, pushes the song forward. There's some assertive guitar work in here that actually kind of emphasizes some kind of drive within the track. The hook is absolutely catchy. It's sing-along friendly. It sticks in here. And the beat it just kind of works mainly through the verses, I think. Like, one thing that I always realize when I listen to the track is that I think the chorus hasn't aged the best. Melodically, it's fine, but the production on it sounds quite poor. The beat is a bit lackluster during these sections, I have to admit. It doesn't really sound as crisp as I really thought it did back in 2008, I suppose. It is a song with a bit of polish, but I think most of the polish is really done in the verses that I think are more engaging. The chorus is all about that vocal delivery, really, and the hook that it has. Overall, the production is fine, but it's not a song that has aged the best, I think, in terms of its production. And I personally never really returned to this song, which I think just speaks volumes that maybe, even though it does a lot of things in a very fun way and quite enjoyable manner, I still don't find myself seeking it out. So I'm placing it in the C tier. I think it's probably a bit stronger than Disturbia, maybe. I'm not sure. But yeah, maybe. But it's a fun tune, but I personally don't really return to it. I think everything's just kind of decent about it, but it does have a few setbacks that detract from my enjoyment. But a nice one to kick Katy Perry's pop career off, really, because I think, I mean, I will probably tell you in future videos, because she will appear a lot in these, but I'm not overly fond of everything she's put out. I'll tell you that much. But this is a decent start. Next up, Viva la Vida by Coldplay. And yeah, this is an instantly recognizable arrangement, really. I love the strings in this track. They have so much character. It's a very grand and anthemic kind of song. I think the vocal performance by Chris Martin is very compelling in this track. He has a very characteristic input into it. And it stands out quite a lot from what you'd expect from Coldplay at the time. I think this one really became kind of like a shift into what they actually could do with a different kind of arrangement to them. The instrumentation is completely different here to what I associated them with before it. I think the production ties nicely into it. It's really arranged in a way that you feel like there's a complete orchestration behind this track, and at the same time, it's just vocally sublime to match that anthemic quality of the track. Yeah, it's probably like it's a song that probably will never go old for me. Even though I don't return to it as much as other Coldplay tracks, I just have other preferences to which Coldplay tracks I return to the most. It's still a stunning song, and I just really appreciate the fact that they made something a bit different from what they were used to and still managed to knock it out of the park. It's a very, very strong A for me. Um, it's not an S because I do think that they have songs I'm more impressed by, but I'm very intrigued as to how well they managed to make this one work and how big a hit it became. It's a very effectively executed song, I would say. Next up, some more Rihanna here. It's Take a Bow, which is a very, very pretty ballad with a really somber tone, and it's quite sad. I mean, I always, when I think of the Rihanna ballads, I always think of Unfaithful as the first one, but so this one kind of just, this is the second one I think of, and I think Unfaithful is much more emotionally tangible, but I'm not here to talk about that song, but still, I just wanted to mention it, because this one, slips between the cracks a little bit for me, even though I find it to be very, very pretty. I think Rihanna comes really into her own style storytelling wise here. It's a very tangible emotion that she really transmits. I think the beat is definitely pushing the song forward in a way that doesn't become too much, but it still really is kind of necessary to get the song moving, which I think is nice. The piano arrangement is very strong behind that as well. So there's a nice blend of these two aspects. I think the song features some really neat kind of chord transitions to develop the song really and progress it further. Well balanced, expansive section. I think towards the end as well, after the second chorus or so, the song grows a bit further and becomes wider and grander, which I do enjoy. Progressively enjoyable, beautifully executed ballad really. Perhaps not the most memorable, which I do think detracts from the enjoyment a little bit. It's a very strong B tier song for me. I'm placing it top of B tier. I don't think I'd really consider it to be in the A tier because that would mean that I'm placing it in the same tier as Umbrella, wouldn't it? And it's not there. It's not as memorable and characteristic, I think. It's just very well put together and well executed, I would say. So B tier seems right for in my opinion anyway. And the next song will not be joining it in the B tier, I'll tell you that much. This is Sexy Can I by Ray J and Young Berg. And I wasn't familiar with this one. I would have preferred not to ever get familiar with this one. Tiresome beat, no progression, lazy vocal delivery throughout without much melodic interest really. And just incredibly derivative rap verses that are actually incredibly douchey in terms of their presentation and performance. It's a proper, just dull, uninteresting, tiresome listen. I get nothing out of it. I would have just preferred not to know that it's like I don't know why is this a hit? Why is it so successful? I'm not sure. Maybe there are some redeeming qualities. I just haven't been able to identify them. This is just not for me. It's another F. I don't know. I don't even know which F is worse than the others. I don't know. I'll place him in the middle. Why not? That probably works. Okay. Next up, Chris Brown. This is Forever. You see that there are two Chris Brown songs right after each other here, and I have quite different feelings towards them. Forever here is it's okay, I suppose. The song really flows quite nicely. It's a foot tapper. It could be absolutely. I can find myself just digging whatever it's doing, but ultimately it is a bit on the uninteresting side, I feel. The production is a bit flat. I think it lacks kind of a dynamic clarity within the song as well. And it really is like, it returns here again. This whole digital influence that pop music was affected by in the late 2000s, I suppose. It's quite hurtful when you listen to it with today's ears because today we have AI. And if this song was made today, it sounds so digital that you'd really think that it would be an AI generated song, especially vocally. Like the processing on this track is so off, and everything comes together with such simplicity while also, I mean, I guess back in 2008 they wanted to make this sound fresh and unique and actually quite interesting, but in today's ears it just sounds so flavorless and dull and yeah, I don't know what to say. It sounds like an AI put it together if you take it with today's ears. Still, I mean, it is a foot tapper somewhat, and it has a good flow to it, but can't be higher than a D. No way. And I think maybe even a D is a bit generous, but I can sit through this one. I wouldn't turn it off, so I guess that's something for it. The songs below it I definitely would turn off. So yeah, it is what it is. However, Chris Brown also made With You this song, which I think is a really sweet tune, actually. Probably his sweetest tune for sure. It's very sing-along friendly, it's cute in its execution, I like the guitar work. I mean, the guitar strumming is very simple in this track, but the vocals just work so neatly on top that it doesn't really matter. The whole track is very cozy and it has a warm presentation. Melodically enjoyable as well. I mean, it's everything comes together so nicely. I think the actual composition of the track is probably the standout because here it comes again. The song is overly processed in its production, which I think detracts so much from the actual enjoyment I can have of it. I don't think it needed that aspect of it. I mean, I get that Chris Brown wanted it because it's Chris Brown, and Chris Brown wants to have the Chris Brown sound on the track. But I think that it really holds back my enjoyment of it, just slightly anyway, because it's really sweet at its core. Maybe I do think maybe some ideas in here are a bit tacky, like the strings that join in during the choruses, they do feel a bit tacky and over the top. But I guess it's a minor nitpick. I'm placing this one in the beat here. I think placing it between Pocketful of Sunshine and Closer here. Very sing-along friendly, very cozy kind of atmosphere to the track. I do find it to be very cute and sweet. And yeah, it's nice. It's nice enough, even though I have my qualms with it, I suppose. Next up, you see it's Usher again. This is like the 5 millionth, that's what you say, the 5 millionth time that I'm talking about him, I think. This is Usher and Young Jeezy, and the song is called Love in This Club. And oh my, this beat sounds ridiculous in 2024. Did it sound as bad in 2008? I'm not sure. But the synth work is so flat and feeble in this track. Many of these sound inputs that the song has have a really off-putting impact of resonance in the soundstage. It sounds like everything's just kind of clashing when it's introduced. The vocals sound poorly mixed in this thing. It's a strange listen that just trundles along without going anywhere, really. If it is catchy, which it might be, I just can't hear it because I'm distracted by everything else that's going on here. A lot of odd decisions in its execution. And I mean, if it is catchy, I wouldn't notice. One thing I did notice, though, is that the hook is very repetitive in this track. So that's not a good thing, of course. It's I'm sorry, Usher, but this is another F. I'm placing you down here at the bottom. I can't with this song. No enjoyment. I get no enjoyment out of it whatsoever. And it sounds, with today's standards, it sounds awful. Absolutely. This kind of music got big in 2008, but it would absolutely not today with a production like that. So no. Next up, however, I'm terribly sorry, I have no idea how to pronounce this name. It's Sara Bareilles, or Bareilles, or I have no idea, I'm so sorry. But the song is called Love Song, and this is a classic, absolutely. I think everyone's really heard this song. Maybe you don't know who it's by, maybe you haven't heard it in approximately 15 years or so, but wow, it's great. It's so punchy, it's so full of attitude. It's a really playful tune altogether. Great drive from this punchy instrumentation that it has. A lot of purposeful kind of intensity from this instrumental that I really click with. It's a very uplifting track. It's assertive in delivery from both backing track and mainly vocals as well. I think she does a great job in really just painting the story in a very characteristic and personal way, I suppose. This it's just kind of like comes together with so much conviction, and I feel like it's sincere in a way that's a bit playful and fun, really, mainly, I suppose. Also, in the backing track, it has this kind of blend of very distinct percussion, colorful piano chords, and really glossy guitar work. I find that to be brilliant, and has some creative transitions throughout as well that progress the song and make it develop. And it's a fun listen. It's a really fun listen. It's a clear A-tier kind of song. Just very enjoyable. Anytime I put it on, I have a great time with it. Nice one. I unfortunately kind of forgotten about her as an artist, and I I need to study up and I need to go back through her discography because this is a great listen. It really is very enjoyable. Definitely an A-tier song for in my book. And now next up is Nowhere. It's Chris Brown again, but it's mainly Jordin Sparks who I think elevates the song maybe a little bit. I'm not sure. Still though, this song, I guess it's in the same vein as a lot of other songs from this year. Instrumentally, it is quite thin. I think it lacks a bit of substance, really. There's something just lacking between, I mean, I guess something missing between the beat and the piercing vocals. It feels like there's a big hole in the middle of it that hasn't been filled with anything. Really, a sweet composition, I suppose, but an underwhelming execution that doesn't tie it all together as well as it should. Jordan's vocals, I mean, while she has a promising vocal delivery in this track, her voice is just drowned in sound effects, or not in sound effects, but drowned in effect work, really, in an attempt to, I suppose, create character in her voice, which she doesn't need. She'd sound fine without it, absolutely. And Chris Brown, of course, I mean, it's Chris Brown, so he suffers from the same. It's like when he sings, he already has the filter on because he can't sing without it. I'm not sure, but it's vocally, it's intentionally made to sound odd, which was characteristic back in the day, but it sounds a bit clashing and underwhelming today. So it's a D-tier song. I get the concept here. I'm placing it above Forever because I do think it's a bit more catchy, but it's not really that much of an enjoyable listen for me. And I think the weak production work on it really holds it back as well. So it is what it is. 5 songs to go. The first one, production here, of course, a bit of a stand-up because it is Timbaland, and this is with OneRepublic, and this was, of course, OneRepublic's big breakthrough. It was the song Apologize, which is it's a sweet tune. It's not much more than that. It's very inoffensive, really focuses a lot on warmth and sounding pretty and just presenting some kind of relatable feeling of longing, I suppose. While it's a Timbaland track, I do think this beat is quite soft, but I guess, I mean, that's the song kind of requires that to get this impact that it wants to have. It has a memorable quality. I think the vocal lines really stick to your head instantly. The vocal delivery is decent as well. It is quite catchy in a pretty way. Doesn't stand out massively. I think it's a B-tier song, if I'm completely honest. I'm placing it between Natasha and Chris here. I feel like I'm stacking up the beat here a little bit. Maybe, yeah, maybe it's just a B kind of year. But yeah, I think Apologize fits right in there in the middle of those. It won't have any company from Lollipop by Lil Wayne though. Like I don't get this music. But anyway, I have a soft spot for this beat. I will admit that. I think this kind of constantly fading and cut off filtered automation symphony that it has, it is a bit fun, really. But this song gets tiring quite quickly. It's how long is it? 6 minutes, 5 or 6 minutes? I think 5 minutes, with no sense of progression whatsoever. And it's really like, this song is certainly the prime example of one of my least favorite music trends ever, and that would be overly processed rap songs that don't have any energy. They just kind of lie very, I'd say, lazily on the beat, really. Is this vocal trying to be soulful? I'm not really sure, because I don't find any energy or engagement in it. It's not tangible whatsoever. The verses of this track are entirely unintelligible. You can't hear a single word he's saying. At least I can't. There are a bunch of, as well, like whispery chants throughout the track were so annoying. I'll be generous here. The beat makes this an E-tier song, but it's absolutely not a song I enjoy listening to. It's as well, like, it's 5 minutes long and it doesn't go anywhere. I'm so sorry, but no, that's not for me. It's not for me, not at all. Alicia Keys, Alicia Keys is absolutely for me, though. No One is the song by Alicia Keys here, and I don't think this is as strong as her other big hits, mainly due to, I think, that she's actually overdoing the vocals a little bit in this track. I mean, she has a very passionate vocal delivery, which I will always enjoy from her. The beat of this track is also quite effective, and I like the piano work as always. Love also the presence of the bass walks in this song, but it does get a bit over the top, I find. It verges on being like so deeply rooted in sadness that it gets a bit angry and ultimately a bit overbearing, which I do think really just becomes a bit distracting and a bit of an off-putting aspect of this track. It's not massive, but it does really take this song from being absolutely an A-tier song to being a B-tier song in my book. The concept is there. I do like the whole composition of it, but it does get a bit much, which means that I will place it. I think, yeah, top of B tier. It's much more expressive than Take a Bow and much more memorable, of course. But I wouldn't want to put this song in an A tier because I know that it does. I feel like it does a bit too much, while Alicia Keys could tone that back. But why would she care? I mean, it's a huge hit anyway. Could it be her most popular song? Maybe. It's certainly up there. But I certainly think she has a few better tunes than this one, even though that I do really like it. 2 songs left to go. Bleeding Love by Leona Lewis. Oh, how I love this track. It's so pretty. Just perfect execution, really. It's a beautiful composition. It flows incredibly well. I think that the vocal performance is absolutely stunning. The chorus, like the melodic lines of the chorus, they are so memorable and so well sung. It's an irresistible track to just like I can't imagine myself not, I guess, at least humming along to the beautiful melodic lines of this track. It's a chorus that grabs hold of me very much and then hits really hard and doesn't let go. It's a song that just flows so well. It's a perfect pop ballad, really. The emotion is palpable of this track. The feeling can't be ignored, like the feeling that I get from it. It can't be ignored. I don't like, the thing is that I don't really return to this song as often as maybe I should. Maybe it's a bit on the what you say, non-progressive side. I don't think it develops as much as maybe it sets out to do. The feeling that I always get from when I finished listening to the song is not one of these where I feel like, oh, that was just a brilliant listening experience. It's just that was a really great. Like there's I guess there's a line there between those two. It's an A song. It's between Viva la Vida and Love Song in my opinion. It's not an S tier song. I think there are other pop ballads that just hit a little bit harder in terms of maybe complexity or progression, but this is a perfect pop ballad, really, in my book. I think it's stunning, and I love it. Really do. I love the other songs in the A tier as well, of course. Finally, song number 1 from 2008. I get it. I get that Low by Flo Rida and T-Pain. Oh, see, T-Pain actually did appear again on the list. I just realized. I get why this became a hit. It's not for me. It's never been for me. It's high energy. It has a lively vocal delivery. The whole arrangement is quite in your face and energetic, and it's difficult to ignore. It's just that the whole kind of concept of the track isn't really something that I typically seek out, and I do not seek out this song ever. I understand that it has an audience. I understand that that audience has tons of fun with it, but nah. I appreciate a lot of things they're going for here. I don't think this is Flo Rida's weakest track. I mean, he has so much competition in that area. It's for being a Flo Rida track, I think it's actually quite decent, but it's just not my kind of music, and I don't return to it. I'm placing it in the D tier just because I get it. I just don't enjoy it. So D tier for Low. Not particularly interesting to me, even though that it's absolutely a catchy track, but not for me really. And that's the tier list of 2008. I've gotta say, when you look at it like this, it's a rough year. It really is. There are, of course, standouts. I think the top 3 songs in this one are amazing. I think a few of the songs in the B tier, or like the B tier, are enjoyable songs, great tunes. I guess No One is probably the standout of them, but I have my qualms with that. And then as we go further down the list, it's getting rougher and rougher, and there's a lot of just things that I do not enjoy whatsoever at the very bottom here. But that could just be me. Let me know what you think of these songs from 2008. Are you also finding this whole this whole trend, the music trend of overly processing songs from the late 2000s to be the worst thing ever? Because I do, probably. It's up there at least. Let me know what you think about that, and let me know what's your favorite song from all of these that I talked about today. Is it Viva la Vida? Is it Bleeding Love? Is it Love Song? Maybe No One? That would be a fair shout, honestly. I would understand why someone would pick that. Or is it something else? Maybe it's Lollipop. What do I know? Let me know. Anyway, hope to see you again tomorrow, of course, when I talk about 2009. See you then. Take care and bye bye.